could be a thing of the past at some point anyway, and not in the not too distant future. The Biden administration setting a goal for half of all new car sales to be electric by 2030. That's just 9 years away. Lauren Fix, the car coach, joins us now, and appropriately enough, in a car. Is it electric, Lauren?
No, it is not. This is a brand new Santa Cruz. So,
okay.
So I'm out on the road, and this is an important story that's really going to impact everyone.
I appreciate you pulling over and talking with us. So I realize this is a goal by 2030, but half of cars sold in 9 years, is this realistic?
It's not going to happen. Manufacturers will do the absolute minimum to meet their requirements, and they're doing that now because if they decide not to comply, what ends up happening is they get penalized by the EPA, and that is a problem. So therefore, you have to comply. So car manufacturers are all saying, oh, yeah, we're on board. But in reality, they're producing electric cars now. So to give you an idea, last year, in 2020 and 2019, only 2% of the 17 million cars sold were electric. And so this year, we'll probably only have about 14.5 million vehicles because of the chip shortage, which leads to other issues. But the fact is, we're still maybe going to make 3%. The fact is, the consumers aren't buying them. And there's a study out there that 95% of people that do buy electric cars don't go back and buy another one.
Interesting, because I'd heard just the opposite, that people, once they get them, they like them. Let me ask you about that, though, Lauren, before you go.
PR is everything.
Yeah, okay. But you say that car manufacturers are doing the absolute minimum, but all we hear is how I know several brands are vowing and pledging to go all electric.
Right. Well, they're not going to go all electric 100%. Even Volkswagen, who says they are, they've now realized, and Andrea Merkel as well as Macron have said, if we went 100% electric, first off, the grid cannot support it, period, no matter what country you're in. But they also know they're going to lose hundreds of thousands of jobs, which impacts the economy. Now, we have inflation going on right now. The cost of the vehicle costs twice as much as that of its comparable in gasoline. Plus, you've got a higher insurance rate, and you have to charge. You start adding all that up, and consumers that are driving a 10-year-old vehicle are probably not going to make that move. No matter whether you double the incentive, which is currently $7,500, except for General Motors and Tesla.
Do you expect then pushback, Lauren, from people who think, well, I'm going to just sort of sit this one out for a little bit and see how this goes and stick with my gas-powered car, because they don't want the initial upfront cost of the electric vehicle, and they don't want the cost of doing whatever they need to do to get power in their house to charge it?
You are correct, because the cost of putting in that charging station, assuming that you have a garage, you can't put it just outside randomly. And a lot of times if you're in an apartment building, you can't. So the people that are affected the most is the working person, the person that is using a vehicle that's 10, 20 years old. And that's not that old anymore. That's like a 2000. And they're driving that vehicle, maintaining that vehicle. For that person to be able to sell the car and have a car payment they didn't have, and then increased insurance costs, finding a place to charge and paying for that electricity, even if it's included at some point, it's on them, is going to be expensive. Remember, those batteries are not good forever. There are still moving parts that need to be repaired and replaced, and fluids. And you think about the cost of a battery, and then you start looking at, where does that battery come from? Well, all those 7 rare earth minerals come from China. So we will no longer be beholden to the Middle East. We're going to be beholden to China. And they already have the thumb on us because they're holding up some of the chip production. So imagine what they do if they decide not to supply batteries.
Lauren, we love our muscle cars. We love our trucks. And I know the car makers are in the process of making these all in electric versions. And I know that you have a daughter you named Shelby after the Mustang. I'm curious if the only Mustang is available that's electric. Are you in?
Not a chance. I have a Shelby GT500 and a 350 that are a few years old, but you know what? If you tell me they're only going electric, you just lost my business, and I'll go look for a brand that doesn't. Personally, if you told me I had to buy an electric car today, you have to buy it, don't worry about the price, I'd buy a Porsche Taycan. But that's a super expensive car, and that's not what your average person's going to buy. They're going to be looking at Nissan Leafs. They're going to be looking at Priuses. They're looking at Volkswagen ID4s. Hyundai's coming up with hydrogen-powered vehicles. Honda is as well. So you're going to see different platforms. So don't think electric's the only way to go green. There's also compressed natural gas. There's also e-gas, and there's also recycled diesel and recycled gas coming that will be much less of an impact to the environment.
Fascinating. I've enjoyed the conversation. Lauren Fix, the car coach. Now we know why you pulled over and wanted to talk about it, because you had a lot to say, and we enjoyed all of it. Have a great night, Lauren. Good to see you.
Thank you. You too.